Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Love and Life Elevated. It has been a while, and I'm Dr. Deborah.
And I'm James, and it's so good to see you. Thanks for making time for us today. Hello, sweetheart.
Hello. Happy recent fall equinox.
I know it, right? And just to kind of give a little metaphysical start to, many of you probably know it's called the September Black New Moon, and it happened on this past Monday. And very interesting, the metaphysical side of this particular moon, incredibly powerful quantum energy around letting go of all that does not serve us and setting high intentions of what we want to bring into our life.
I love that. I love all the different, metaphysical meanings around all the moon phases and the different names for the different moons at different times of year. It's incredible.
Yeah, and this one in particular, people are saying, wow, I didn't sleep so well and I felt really kind of on edge. Well, it's an on edge that particularly is saying if you've delayed on something you know you need to let go of, it's time. Or if you're delaying yourself and saying, I want to bring something to life, and this is an important time for curating something, this is the time. This is perfect.
It is a really important time, and it's been a really hard time. And I think that is in the nature of seasonal transition, but in particular, it's just a tough time in the world. It's a tough time in our community here locally in Evergreen. We've had heartbreak and tragedy. We've had it in our family. It is a time when we have greater darkness, both metaphorically and metaphysically, at least here in the Western Hemisphere, as we're shifting into fall, where we're having longer, darker days. And then even in where we live here in Colorado, where it's mostly so sunny, we get so many days of sunshine, we've had a lot of rain and a lot of gray skies.
Yeah, it's felt really cleansing and hopeful. And I think for a lot of us who are navigating hard times, community is so important. It is so essential right now. And I think for any of us who are kind of looking at the power of vulnerability and its relationship to community, we hope this is a place that you come and learn a few things, you feel safe and sharing whatever's moving for you. And Deb and I just really want to make sure, we're here for you. And we're here to make sure that this community and the vulnerability and the safety of this place that we've created, all of us created together, continues.
Absolutely. And so some of the things that we can do during these transitory times and shifts into new seasons, if you think of here in the States with the fall and the trees are shedding their leaves, they're changing colors, they're letting go. And so instead of hanging on to the days of summer, the high energy, the expectations to just show up brightly every day, it is more of a time to go within and how can we still honor the rituals that we set for ourselves throughout the year as we transition into darker days, cooler temperatures. How do our changing colors show up on the inside and the outside? How do we outpicture what our seasonal transition looks like?
Yeah, and I think the big thing for a lot of us, particularly as the days light goes shorter and the evening and the overnight is longer time, this is a perfect time for looking at recovery and really getting your rest. A really interesting study that I read just yesterday around this time of the year and its power of napping and sort of resourcing the habit of napping. In fact, the study was all about consistent nappers, like literally daily consistent nappers. Their age of their brain is upwards between 2.6 to 6.2 years younger than non-nappers. Think about that. Like you are literally a 6-year younger your brain is 6 years younger when you're a consistent napper.
Gosh, I just haven't figured out how to incorporate that
I'm a
into my
great
life.
napper.
You are a great napper, and I'm so jealous. Like, I love that idea, and I want to be a napper, but number one, surrendering the time during my day is tough for me. Number two, it takes me so long to fall asleep. I have those rare days where I'm exhausted. I'm like, I got to go lay down, and it happens for me. But to make it more of a ritual, what are some tips?
The biggest one of all is consistency of the time you do it. Mm-hmm. It's just like with sleep hygiene, right?
But you think like eye mask, earbuds. setting a timer on
That's
my
not
phone.
necessary, for that. They don't say that's necessary as much.
Okay.
In fact, we don't want to make this like,
Well, not
hey,
necessary, but what's going to help me actually fall asleep?
Well, the biggest thing of all is giving yourself permission at a certain time. And it may not be
Is
napping.
it a consistent time?
It's
like
consistent
every day?
time, just like with sleep.
Got
It may not be necessarily napping. It could be yoga nidra in the afternoon where you're just doing non-sleep recovery. All of these things are amazing. So the biggest thing is all picking a time, sticking to it. And if it means just, hey, my napping is going for a walk. My napping is just sitting and reading. My napping is just laying on the floor and just breathing. It's consistent stepping away from the doing to being.
I'm going to argue with you right here now, because reading is not giving my brain a break. So I'm totally
so don't read.
I'm totally with you. I can do the meditation, the yoga nidra, like those are fantastic ideas because it's allowing my brain to rest. But if I'm reading,
you're just
I'm
thinking.
kind of like, oh, now my eyes are having to focus again. So, okay. Sorry.
It's okay. You don't have
But
to
I want to get back into this idea of, we've talked about how important and the circadian rhythm is everything. It's everything for our energy, for healthy brains, for the sleep-wake cycle. And as the darkness increases in the fall here in our hemisphere, and vice versa, if you're in the Eastern Hemisphere and you're getting longer days, how are you going to make that work for you? And so here where it's darker, maybe you don't have time to take that morning light exposure walk before work because you need to get out the door and it's still dark.
Right.
I certainly remember those days of commuting when, you're commuting back in the darkness. So there are, again, I think consistency with your wake time and going to bedtime is really important. And that may shift a little.
Yeah.
Right? You may be going to bed earlier because melatonin is kicking in earlier and it's signaling your brain, hey, we need longer periods of rest now. And if you aren't able to go out and still get that 2 to 3 minutes of early morning light because you need to get going, what you can do is you can eat breakfast in front of, say, a light box or have full spectrum lighting. I remember, over 30 years ago in school when we were learning about full spectrum light bulbs, and that was everyone's rushing out and we're like, can we afford a full spectrum light bulb? And I think they sold it at the natural food store.
Yeah.
But something like that, just having a lamp that you
can we
take.
Just say how dated that term is, the natural food store.
Oh, what do you mean? Why is it dated?
Because I was calling them that when I was like 18.
Well, what do you call it now? I still call it that. How is it outdated?
No, it's not necessarily outdated. It just sounds like this has been around for where are you going? To the grocery store or the natural food store? I love that.
They're still different. Although, regular grocery stores have their natural.
And to be in full transparency, I still call it the natural food store.
Thank you. I don't know why you even thought of that.
I don't know.
But anyway, you can sit by some natural light, sit by a window, whatever it takes. Obviously, if you're eating at between 6 and 7, you're not getting that natural light. So you would need to bring in a natural source of artificial light.
And I think the thing that this brought up for me, this is a time for honoring. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing we can do right now is be softer on ourselves. Yes, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world, a lot of stuff happening that's hard. You don't want to become hard like, oh my gosh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And all of a sudden you've built all these boundaries to your life. I think the thing I'm learning more and more about this time of the year of transition and time, this is a time to be softer with yourself. Exercise more compassion. Do the best that you can, but not shoot for perfection. There's enough shaming and blaming going on in the world right now. Perfectionism is not a practice we want to be bringing in or adhering to.
And going back to your talking about the napping and the meditation, the other thing that happens during this change of seasons is our cortisol awakening response, that CAR, is also delayed. So we feel more tired.
Just
when
a little more
we get up, we
lethargic
don't
when we
have
wake up.
cortisol going, hey, get up, because that whole patterning has changed. So we may need to sleep in longer. And what I think is really helpful is to start to really pay attention as to when your best energy comes in. Mm-hmm. And how can you write it down, see if it's happening at the same time, and how can you maximize that high energy window for your creativity? Maybe it's for your workout. You just may have to shift things around for when you take your break. And then that goes back to that idea of ultradian rhythm.
Right.
Like finding when those best windows of peak energy, creativity are for you, and curating your day around that.
There's so much to be gained by that. Just paying attention to these rhythms as they change. And they're not changing, typically hours. They're changing like half hours and 20 minutes and very subtle changes. But I think that what's so great about this time of the year and this transition time is giving yourself a lot of opportunity to just be a witness. Wow, I'm just noticing this little change here. And, being a student of noticing is such a mindful practice. And then when you actually see the window of change or the window of shifting and then follow through and make those shifts and changes, you just feel a sense of empowerment. And I think for a lot of us right now, locus of control is really up, right? There's so many things we're trying to control that we don't have control over, and that creates a lot of sadness, depression, and anger and anxiety. But really look at things you have infinite control over and really lean into those things around the day and the timing of the day and what you're doing day by day to really give yourself a sense of hope and a sense of impersonal peace and power.
Yeah. I was chatting with a patient the other day, and they were asking me some questions about diet and breakfast and saying, I really always love to do a smoothie for breakfast, and talking about all the things they like to put in their smoothie. And they were naturally saying like, not maybe tasting as good anymore. And I was like, perfect. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this because you've studied Chinese medicine more than me, but I always think of smoothies being like cold and damp. So those are good for hot, dry summers. Mm-hmm. And they're nourishing. The body's craving that. It's a little cooling off. But as it's getting cooler, and oh my gosh, our house has been very chilly because certain members love the coldness.
Mr. Metabolic. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. I've been very good about not, promoting the thermostats very high. Anyhow, what I want to say is this isn't smoothie weather for us in Colorado, at least anymore. If you're in Southern California, South America, maybe it still is. But that transition now is the time when we really want to be introducing warming foods. I love morning porridges, morning soups. Of course, I'm still into eggs and veggies and everything like that. But think of whatever you're doing, adding those warming spices to every meal, not just breakfast, but I always think turmeric, ginger, garlic's warming as well. Cinnamon, so good this time of year. So really think of foods that are more nourishing, warming, moving from salads and raw veggies and fruits to lightly cooked, steamed, stir-fried. This is what our bodies really want this time of year.
Yes, and I really love the idea of like overnight oats, putting in a cinnamon stick, adding the ginger to your point. All of this time I think is really nourishing. The microbiome is also going through changes right now.
Totally.
So you got to really look at the ecosystem within your system to say, what can I do to really support it? Warmth, easy to digest, foods that are soothing, almost mucilaginous, and they really give you that soothing coating that you need. This is such a great time to be doing that. And I think, it's funny, honey, you and I were talking about the topic today before we actually pushed the go button. And I kept on thinking about nourishment. And not nourishment just like an overnight oats or warming foods and ginger and things. It's like nourishment as an idea, as sort of a way of living. And, that's something to always think about in your life, especially during these times of change. How are you nourishing your life? What are you feeding yourself with? What type of media? Is it nourishing media? Is there, divisive media? Are you when you're people around you, family, lovers, people that you care about, or even going out in the world? How, this is an interesting thought. How do you carry yourself as someone who nourishes? Like, the way your body language, your eye contact, your smile, or lack thereof of those things. All of those things are nourishing, we think, to the world around us, and of course they are. But they're equally nourishing to what's within us. Really interesting how epigenetics, how we carry ourselves and how we nourish our own inner language and our own inner body work that we're doing, all of that has a primary profound impact on how our genes are expressing. And whether our genes are expressing, pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory, pro-aging or anti-aging, all the ways in which we get a chance to see, is my life right now nourishing? Am I doing things that nourish me, feed me, make me feel whole? And really slowing down enough in life to actually answer those questions and see what you can do to bring even more nourishment. And I think one of the things I'm always seeing, honey, I always feel like I slow down when I do that. I feel like the cadence of my life becomes more mindful because I'm much more deliberate about the things that I'm going to do and why I'm going to do them, who I'm going to spend time with, who I'm not spending time with, and all this in the name of nourishment.
I love that. It reminds me a lot of how in the past and present, you've talked a lot about this idea of primary and secondary foods. I think that's exactly what you're speaking to. And, we all have days when we have a frazzled day and we're just going, I can't even think of what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, let alone go stop at the store and go shopping. So you do your best. You see what do you have on hand, pantry, refrigerator, and you might throw something together. I do love a crock pot this time of year because, you may have no clue what you're throwing in there in the morning. You come home and something amazing happened while you're away for 8 hours. But what I was going to say is that you really can control the things that you just mentioned, the relationships, the environment to a certain extent. Obviously, sometimes work environments are totally out of your control and you can't control other people's behavior. But you can control your own mindset. You can control your breath work, your movement. And so that is great. Like if there's some areas of your life that maybe you wish you were doing a little bit better, say, it's your diet, for example. Well, how can you make sure you're at least nourishing it on all these other levels?
Yes. And I think the thing that I always look to when I'm trying to change a habit, make a new habit, grow a new habit, I call them truth repetitions. Like, what is a truth rep? Because we know neuroplastically speaking, our brain is basically programmable by what we're doing for actions, how we think, what actions we're taking. And if you have a certain practice that you want to bring to life, see it as a repetition of truth and make sure you lock it in and go for it. Just keep on making that repetition over and over and over again, because as we go over and over again, they say that what we wire together will fire together. So repetition of habits wires neuroplasticity, and when it starts firing, it becomes who we are. So we have a lot to say about how all these things show up, but it begins within. You deciding, I'm going to make this change. I'm going to have this new habit. I'm going to get myself neuroplastically more nourished in my life. And these are the 3 practices I'm going to bring to life. And I'm going to be absolutely a zealot for consistency.
Makes me think of what we appreciate appreciates. And so likewise, if you're ruminating on something that maybe is less positive or a habit that you're really wanting to break, but you just can't get past it, it works both ways. So the more we can focus on affirmations, affirming what it is we want to bring in and create as we are shedding our leaves, we're changing colors, like let's just bring it in and create those new grooves in to create that neuroplasticity around the new improved habits.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to go along with that in the mornings you were talking about, maybe that darkness is actually now kind of a beautiful thing. It's almost like monastic, right? It's almost like a monastery in the morning because it is darker, and that creates an opportunity for more mindfulness. And I think there's a lot to be said about how much can you hold peace in the morning? Because the more that we can delay going into the doing and all the things, that creates also a neuroplastic window where peace becomes more of a ritual that you start to live with. Your nervous system is extremely trainable, and you get a chance to say a lot about what happens first thing in the morning, hopefully, by getting up in a time where you give yourself permission. Just have grace. Have space to kind of create a little place to breathe, and your nervous system is going to follow that and go, oh, I'm normalizing more peace. I'm normalizing being less reactive. I'm normalizing being less judgment and divisive. All of that stuff is stuff we get a chance to normalize versus getting caught up in the fray and having all the currents around us take us to places that we go, gosh, what happened to me? This is not how I want to be behaving. This is not the reaction I want to make. So all of this is a time, this time of the year, to plant these seeds again and harvest the things that you know are working for you and really be heroic. And the word hero, from the etymology of hero, it means to protect. Be a hero of your life right now. Protect your life. Put up the things that matter to you. Really decorate your life in a heroic way that protect you from the things that do not nourish you or make you feel less peaceful and less of who you'd love to be. And protect yourself in such a way that you can truly step into this space and call it predictably, this is who I want to be. This is how I want to lead my life.
One practice that I've been adding a little bit more subtly because it is dark when I get up, when we get up, and we have a little bit different timing. So you're already kind of down here doing your workout, and then I'm sort of on dog duty. And so when I go to let the dogs out, it is certainly still dark. And where we live, we have just had a lot of wildlife encounters lately.
Wow.
Just between coyotes, the elk, we have bears wandering around, the occasional mountain lion. And so for us, we don't have a fenced yard. It's really important to be supervising when we're letting the pups out in the morning. And so even as a kid, I was always a little bit scared of the dark. I don't know if you know that about me, but I was never like super comfortable being alone in the dark. So when I'm with the dogs, it's a little bit better. A lot of times I'm only with a very small young dog, and it's not going to provide any kind of protection. But I'm like,
beware of the pug.
Yeah, I'm out there making sure there's nothing lurking in the darkness. And some days, like right now, where you're talking about the new moon, it's hard to see. But I use the opportunity to challenge myself. I'm not usually barefoot because it has been really cold and wet and everything, but I try to not put a coat on. So even if it's chilly, like I'm out there getting exposure and then I'm touching the ground.
Nice.
So I'm grounding. I'm always like, I try to go touch a tree when I'm out there letting the dog out. And I feel like that is me sending the signal to my body and to my own rhythm, like, okay, it's time to get awakened. And so I'm not getting that sunlight, but I'm still getting the messages into, my brain, my body saying, yep,
That's so great, honey.
your day has arrived. And so there's so many different ways that we can do it.
Yeah, so maybe that's a perfect thing to bring this full circle today, to send you out into your life with. If there's a place in your life that you want to go, I want to challenge something. I love what you say, like interrupting this, like the normal way of doing things. I'm going to interrupt it. And it's a pretty cool practice, right? Because so much of life is automatic pilot. And because we've had the summer, now we're going into the fall, we could be automatic piloting a lot of this next season. Or we can interrupt it. How to put a brand new practice in, put a brand new ritual in, face of fear, darkness, whatever it might be, face of fear, someone who doesn't look like you or behave in certain ways. Face all these places, hopefully, and go, wow, this interrupting has also helped my default mode network and my brain to see more possibility and more hope and more awakening. This is an interesting time for us to really think about challenging anything in our life that we know it's time for me to interrupt this. I want to change the pattern. I want to grow. I want to evolve. And doing it when things are particularly hard, like it is for many of us right now, is a whole other level of heroism and protecting the fact that we are still here to grow, to evolve, to be the change we wish to see, and every single day choosing an interrupting of an old pattern to bring a new one forward.
Love it. That's perfect thing to end on as we do enter this changing time. And, for our friends in Australia, as you're, springing forth into like all things new and bright and waking up, we celebrate you and you finding a way to bring in new rituals and engaging your own rhythms with those kind of lively changes. Now our time is just more going within and honoring that change.
So if you have something you're shifting, you're changing, you're interrupting, please share it in the comments, because the more that we see that, we all feed on that. So help us to nourish one another with what it is that you're feeling vulnerable about, you're working on in your life, and let us together alchemize what we want to bring forward in our life. So thank you, honey. Great topic.
And also, feel free to share your favorite crockpot recipes.
Wow. Okay. Didn't see that coming, but absolutely. And, maybe you could talk a bit more about your overnight experience of some thme that you do, because it's really yummy.
Well, they're not really overnight. They're all day.
That's
long.
I'm putting forth an idea.
Oh, I see.
So we'll see you next time. Have an awesome day. Much love. All the blessings. Take good care.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye.